absurd. You must catch me your troglodyte before I will believe in him." "I agree to that with all my heart," said Dyson, chuckling at the ease with which he had succeeded in drawing Phillips. "Nothing could be better. It's a fine night for a walk," he added, taking up his hat. "What nonsense you are talking, Dyson," said Phillips. "However, I have no objection in taking a walk with you, as you say it is a pleasant night." "Come along then," said Dyson, grinning. "But remember our bargain." The two men went out into the square, and threading one of the narrow passages that serves as exits, struck towards the northeast. As they passed along a flaring causeway, they could hear at intervals, between the clamour of the children and the triumphant Gloria played on a piano organ, the long deep hum and roll of the traffic in Holborn, a sound so persistent that it echoed like the turning of everlasting wheels. Dyson looked to right and left and conned the way, and presently they were passing through a more peaceful quarter, touching on deserted squares and silent streets, black as midnight. Phillips had lost all count of direction, and as by degrees the region of faded respectability gave place to the squalid and dirty stucco offended the eye of the artistic observer, he merely ventured the remark that he had never seen a neighbourhood more unpleasant or more commonplace. "More mysterious, you mean," said Dyson. "I warn you, Phillips, we are now hot on the scent." They dived yet deeper into the maze of brickwork. Some time before they had crossed a noisy thoroughfare running east and west, and now the quarter seemed all amorphous, without character. Here a decent house with a sufficient garden, here a faded square, and here factories surrounded by high blank walls, with blind passages and dark corners, and all ill-lighted and unfrequented, and heavy with silence. Presently, as they paced down a forlorn street of two-storey houses, Dyson caught sight of a dark and obscure turning. "I like the look of that," he said. "It seems to me promising." There was a street lamp on the entrance, and another, a mere glimmer at the further end. Beneath the lamp on the pavement, an artist had evidently established his academy in the daytime, for the stones were all a blur of crude colours rubbed into each other, and a few broken fragments of chalk lay in a little heap beneath the wall. "You see, people do occasionally pass this way," said Dyson, pointing to the ruins of the screever's work. "I confess I should not have thought it possible. Come, let us explore." On one side of this byway of communication was a great timber yard, with vague piles of wood looming shapeless above the enclosing wall, and on the other side of the road a wall still higher seemed to enclose a garden, for there were shadows like trees, and a faint murmur of rustling leaves broke the silence. It was a moonless night, and clouds that had gathered after sunset had blackened, and midway between the feeble lamps the passage lay all dark and formless, and when one stopped and listened, and the sharp echo of reverberant footsteps ceased, there came from far away, as from beyond the hills, a faint roll of the noise of London. Phillips was bolstering up his courage to declare that he had had enough of the excursion, when a loud cry from Dyson broke in upon his thoughts. "Stop! Stop, for heaven's sake, or you will tread on it. There, almost under your feet." Phillips looked down, and saw a vague shape, dark and framed in surrounding darkness, dropped strangely on the pavement, and then a white cuff glimmered for a moment as Dyson lit a match, which went out directly. "It's a drunken man," said Phillips, very coolly. "It's a murdered man," said Dyson, and he began to call for police with all his might, and soon from the distance running footsteps echoed and grew louder, and cries sounded. A policeman was the first to come up. "What's the matter?" he said, as he drew to a stand panting. "Anything amiss here?"